All right, good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be doing our learning in a slightly different way. Instead of having a class meeting, you're watching this video, and then it's going to be really important that you answer the questions on the video as you watch. So first and foremost, let's talk about a term I'm sure you've heard of before, and that's the term setting. What is a setting? Well, that's easy. It's the location a story takes place. And usually that includes a time too, doesn't it? Think about it. The Wild Wild West isn't really the Wild Wild West unless it happens, at least probably before 1900, right? Or outer space could be a setting. And a lot of times things in outer space are set in the future. But I guess they could be set anytime since space is so huge and who knows what's going on out there. Under the sea, in a park, on the beach. Setting's important to the story. I mean, think about it. You couldn't have the movie Apollo 13 on the beach. That wouldn't make any sense. The setting of the movie is meant to be in space. Now let's talk about another one, the term suspense. Suspense is a type of literature that makes the reader feel uncertain about what's going to happen. Now, I can tell you, I've never really loved suspense. I spent one evening all night long with friends when I was in middle school watching a bunch of suspense and horror movies. I think that was enough for my whole life. But a lot of people like the genre. Edgar Allan Poe writes suspense, doesn't he? And I bet you've read other suspense as well. In fact, we're going to be really looking at what suspense is. But does the setting play into suspense? Does the tone of the author play into suspense? Absolutely. Let's think about setting again. Say you are setting your story on the beach. Would this character make sense? No, probably not, unless you were doing some kind of a twist on the story, right? Santa Claus belongs in the North Pole, not on a tropical beach. I mean, you could have fun with that for sure, but it would definitely throw the reader for a loop. What about this one? Does a suspenseful story about vampires take place in a beautiful fairy tale garden? Most likely not. Now, that might lead to some comedy, right? But definitely not suspense because the puffy clouds and the beautiful flowers and the bright green trees just don't add to Dracula. Oh, but this setting makes more sense, doesn't it? Setting's important. Just like the characters, just like the tone, just like the mood of the reader. So, now after this video is done, you're going to record a flip grid. Okay, you have to have at least a 30-second flip grid of you talking, so you might want to jot down some ideas before you start because that's a lot of time to fill without having your ideas in order. Make sure you keep that flip grid academic. This time, because it's not personal, I do want you to be on the screen. And you're going to be answering this question: how do tone, mood, and setting work together to create suspense? And definitely include an example from a book or movie, and you can talk about that book or movie example, and it'll probably help you fill up that 30 seconds. I can't wait to see your work and to check in with you a little bit later in our class. All right, great. Can't wait to talk about this with you more and to start reading our first story of suspense.